consequences of climate change. In today's program, we're looking at deforestation and climate change. And helping me to look at these issues is Tafadzwa Gwini. He is from Kudzai Press and he's the project team leader. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. And we also have Kudzai Sande. He is the founding director of Shamari Yakanaka Foundation. Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for joining us. I will start with you, Kudzai. In a minute, tell us what Shamari Yakanaka Foundation does in relation to trees and climate change.
Okay, Shamari Yakanaka Foundation is a foundation that do community development and we plant trees. So far we've planted more than 200 trees around Harare. We go to schools and teach young kids about the importance of planting trees, and taking a good care of the environment.
And Tafadzwa, what is Kudzai Press? What kind of business are you in as Kudzai Press in relation to climate change and tree planting?
Okay, basically Kudzai Press is a community newspaper, but it's also focusing on community development issues. So we have the Green in Kudzai project. We started in 2020. We have planted over 2,600 trees in Kudzai, trying to mitigate climate issues as well as alleviating hunger, malnutrition, and for the aesthetic value of trees. And Green in Kudzai project is just a pilot project of what we are calling Green the City project, because it's just a template that is going to all the low-income high-density suburbs in Harare to start with.
Okay, so this is a pilot project.
Yeah, it's just a pilot project because after it has already migrated to Chitungwiza, we now have the Green in Chitungwiza project. We have Rufaro there in Marondera. She's starting the Green in Marondera project using the pilot project of the template of the Green in Kudzai project. Yeah.
Nice. I look forward to visiting some of these projects. But let's go back to Kudzai. Kudzai, let's talk, because today we're talking about deforestation and climate change, and our forests are fast depleting. What is the role of forests when in relation to the environment?
Okay, the role of forests in relation with the environment. We get a lot of things from this forest. There's an animal kingdom that lives in the forest, and from my research, I researched that 65% of the earth has died. Rivers are drying, forests are changing, and I think the forests are changing. People are just cutting down trees, and we get timber, we get food from these trees, we get a lot of things from this forest. Yeah.
So the earth is changing because of the human nature and activities. But Tafadzwa, the relationship between forest and climate change.
Okay, think of forests as a gigantic lung. That's.
I can actually visualize the lung as you speak.
Yeah, exactly. That's controlling the exchange in the atmosphere. So take of climate change as being induced by human activities that are increasing the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. And now think of forests as the sink that absorb that carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So basically, that's the relationship.
That's the relationship. Yes. And now that, Kudzai says that the forests are changing, people are chopping down these trees for one reason or the other. What are the consequences to the climate?
Definitely the sixth mass extinction. The sixth mass extinction is where we are heading to, because the more we are chopping down trees, the more we are reducing the ability of forests to remove carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, the increase of greenhouse gases. Now we are having serious climate changes. We are talking of the recent cyclone Idai just 2 weeks ago, or we are having floods in Mbare, out of all places, Mbare. Those are the results of climate change because the forest is depleting.
The forest is depleting, and that's now causing issues like climate change and high rainfall, and also high heat waves.
It could be high rainfalls or low rainfalls. Cyclones, or maybe even dry spells. Either way, we are being affected. It's either by hunger or we are dying from floods.
Okay.
So, the Mother Earth, take it as if Mother Earth is angry,
And the only way we can appease Mother Earth is by planting more trees.
That's one way. That's
one way.
Yeah.
Kudzai, to what extent is deforestation a problem in Zimbabwe?
Deforestation is a problem in Zimbabwe. I think, people are just cutting down trees, right? And they are not replacing those trees. People are moving from rural to urban settlement. When people when they find their settlements, they are destroying the forest and they are not replanting the trees. So I think we should...
But is it natural to say somebody is chopping down a tree and they are not replacing it? Someone is thinking of maybe warming up in the house. All they think of is, let me chop down the tree. Where do they get this information to say, as soon as you chop down this tree, you need to replant it?
I think people don't have the right information about these trees. They don't know the importance of planting trees. Trees reduces the stress we human beings carry. So
really?
Yeah, you didn't know.
No.
Now you know. So when we cut down these trees, I think it's very important to educate people that we have to replant these trees. When they settle, they have to replant these trees. Yeah.
Okay, so Kudzai is saying that the issue of rural to urban migration, it means that you need more land, like in the cities. We've seen people settling, in I think they call them breathers in the city. People end up building property there, chopping down all the trees. But how much of a problem is deforestation in Zimbabwe?
Okay, if we're talking of just in the past 10 years alone, we have lost over 1.6 of forest land in Zimbabwe. That's unspeakable. It's just way too much within a short period of time. You see, it's a major problem. If you want to know the extent of this problem, let's just go to Chimanimani, where Cyclone Idai happened.
Mm-hmm.
The area that was cleared for settlement was prone to landslides. Landslides happened because those trees were chopped down. And as a result, we lost over 600 people to death, or they're actually missing, and a property worth billions of dollars. You see, so deforestation is a major challenge which we need to nip in the bud if we are going to survive the next 20, 30 years to come.
So trees are important because they act as a sink to absorb the excess carbon that's being emitted by human activity. And trees are also important, to hold up the soil when it comes to landslides, like you mentioned. So you're saying if we had enough trees in Chimanimani during the cyclone Idai, we might not have experienced landslides.
No, yeah, specifically on landslides. Yes, we might have had reduced landslides, but not to say that we wouldn't have the disaster in Chimanimani, because we might choose to take care of our land here, but if in Mozambique they're not doing the same, in the US if they're not doing the same, we are still going to be affected. But when it comes to the landslides, yes, we would have reduced the intensity or the impact of those landslides, yes.
Okay, so in case you're just joining us, you are tuned into the Feed ZW. My name is Lynette Manzini. This program is known as Green Space. It's brought to you every Tuesday to discuss all things climate change. In today's program, we are discussing the nexus between climate change and deforestation. Climate change is already upon us, and the gentlemen here in the studio with me are helping us to unpack the relationship between climate change and deforestation. Kudzai, you spoke about the forest changing because people are chopping down the trees.
Yeah.
Is it not a necessity? You want land, you chop down the trees. Let's talk about the causes. Why are people chopping down trees? Is it for fun, for the vibes? Why are people chopping down trees?
I think people are cutting down trees because of lack of electricity. So people should be educated about using coal, gas. We have to go green, I think the most important thing is that people doesn't know the value of these trees. For instance, a single tree can provide oxygen for a family of 4. And that same tree can also provide 117 kgs of oxygen. Yeah. So I think if we keep on cutting
trees are life, vegetation is life, and we're busy chopping them up and not replacing them. How do we balance the scale? The population is increasing. We want more land for housing, more land for farming. We want more electricity, and right now in Zimbabwe, 22 hours load shedding, and people still need to cook. How do we balance the scale?
Okay, definitely there are so many ways, and because of the development of technology, we have so many ways of balancing. First of all, let's not concentrate development in one area, because the population in our valley, if it could be dispersed to Noto, to Blayo, to Mutare, and develop other areas so that we can balance the tree density in each and every area. That's one. And then we have new technology like, the social stove, it's actually very efficient. It's actually very efficient.
But the social stove, doesn't it use the trees we're talking about?
No, but you use twigs. Because twigs are not going to stop climate change. Come on. They're just twigs, Yeah, at least that's better than chopping a tree, So I think the introduction of, that sort of stuff. And I heard the president talking of taking us from the grid. I don't know, but I wouldn't advocate for being completely removed from the grid, but I would advocate for at least pulling solar as a backup plan.
Solar infrastructure is not on the cheap side. You require loads and loads of resources.
Yeah, well, if really Zimbabwe is a very rich country, we all know that. We all know that we have over 63 minerals of economic value. So we cannot talk of expense. When we're talking of Zimbabwe, that's taboo.
Okay, so what can we do to save our forests in as far as, land is concerned? We're saying as the population grows, the land is not increasing, and people are then encroaching into the forests and chopping down the trees because they want land to farm or land for buildings. How do we save our forests as the population increases?
Okay, I think what we can do to save the forest, the number one thing is we have to educate the young people first, because they are the future. And we have to teach everyone to take care of the forest, like to educate everyone. Like imagine if all of us have planted trees.
Between the two of you, you've planted about 2,500 trees.
Yeah, all of us planting trees. So I think if we start educating each other to plant trees, there's load shedding. If you start using solar, going green, I think.
But is this being realistic? We, just switching and saying, let's start using solar to save the forest, Tafadzwa. I mean, it's expensive.
Yeah, well, it is expensive, but then the problem with us is that our major challenge is we don't have a steady footing. If we had a steady footing, we would even understand our indigenous knowledge systems. We used to have Makomanoera, we say it's a primitive, but right now even the UN is advocating for that, to say like our indigenous knowledge systems. That's how we were protecting our forests. Population increase has always been there, but we had ways and means of relocating and reallocating land. There's even the Smith government had reserves that they had saved for future populations. You see, we are just going everywhere, just saying, we want to take this thing, we're now chopping. We don't have vibrant policies to defend ourselves from, from protecting, like for protecting our forests. We need policies that are actually futuristic, that considers the present generation and not neglecting the future generations.
Now we're getting into policies, which is very important. And it's one thing to have policies. We've always been known as a country to have good policies, but the issue of implementation, we're always lagging behind. To what extent are people aware of their actions in as far as the negative impact on climate change? You said people need to be educated. Who exactly are these people? Is it the older generation? He speaks of indigenous knowledge systems, and he says, we had ways, the older generation had ways to preserve the trees, but now because we disregard our indigenous knowledge systems, so who exactly are we targeting with this information, this education?
I think most of the people that are cutting down trees are the older generation. Those are the kind of people who are cutting down trees. And for us to solve...
Not young people.
I think about 80% are old.
But young people are the future. They're the ones who are moving from the rural areas coming to the city.
Yeah, but...
That's debatable. What are your thoughts?
Okay. Basically, sorry, I think...
Who is chopping down trees? He's saying 80% is the older generation.
Okay. Well, it's hard to pinpoint a specific generation because we are all in this together. We are all in this. Even our fathers. Recently in Kwatana, where I'm coming from, we have this other big boss leader. He came, he cleared over 83 trees so that he can put a building, another mashwe there for our kids to indulge themselves in alcohol. He came and cut down all the trees and didn't even respond, but he's not a young person, And then we have ages like ours. We need land, so we definitely are going to cut down, trees so that we can have. We also deserve to have homes. So it's a tricky situation. We are all in this together. We are all in this. It's all about each and everyone's survival,
As a young person, you are passionate about growing trees, but those with capital can come in and just chop up those trees and, put up a building. What can we do? I mean, what can young people, especially because young people are the leaders of today and tomorrow, what can young people do to save the forest?
Okay. I think young people can, like what we are doing, we're educating young people about the importance of planting trees. As a young person, as a foundation, we are going to schools, educating young people. I think that's where the ripple effect, positive change will come through, whereby if I teach one person, that person can be able to teach another person. If we teach them to value the trees and forests, I think we'll have a better future. The deforestation will reduce.
Okay, and how well has that been going? I mean, you started tree planting in 2020. How well has that been going on?
I think it's been going well because the kids are responding well and they are interested in the projects. Like right now, we've been working with Miss Environment. Yeah, we have been helping them to. We have a campaign that we are doing. With a theme that's called Making the World Green Again. We are planting trees with them, we're educating a lot of people. A lot of people are engaging in the program.
It's happening here in Zimbabwe?
Yeah, here in Zimbabwe.
Interesting.
So I think it's very important to educate the young people because they are the future. And if we educate them, I think we'll be safe.
How can the young people save the forest?
Okay, I believe that educating people is one thing, but being able now to uphold laws that will complement that education is another thing altogether. Look, every day we are talking of GBV and stuff, and there are so many organizations dealing with GBV, but the more the organizations, the higher the risk of GBV. You see. So the more we are saying don't cut down trees, educating people, the more the trees are being cut down. We are talking of our forest shrinking. So education alone is not enough. We really need young people to be in positions of influence, to be in positions to be able to uphold these laws, to implement these policies that will protect our forests.
On that note, gentlemen, I'd like to thank you very much for joining us, Tafadzwa.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kudzai, for joining us today.
You're welcome.
There you have it, viewers. That was Kudzai and Tafadzwa. They were walking us through the relationship between climate change and deforestation. It is up to you and me to ensure that we save our forests. Whenever you chop down a tree, it's advisable to plant another one so that you and the future generation can benefit from a safe environment. And Tafadzwa here says that it's important to have policies, enforce these policies to ensure that people stop chopping down the trees. And Kudzai is saying that educate, and educate. So thank you very much for joining us on this edition of Green Spaces. My name is Lynette Manzini. Until next week, Tuesday, goodbye.